Hello, it is Tamika with my MS journey, and I wanted to stop in really quickly to make a video and share a little bit of what's currently going on with me and my multiple sclerosis. So 2 days ago I was diagnosed with optic neuritis, and it is in my right eye. And I've learned a lot throughout this just little small piece of this process over the last couple of days. And the first thing that I've learned is that with MS, and this is something that I'm learning more and more and more, I really need to pay attention to my body. So I was diagnosed with MS back in March 2010. It is now September 2010. So I'm still a newbie. And I've had about, I want to say this is my third flare, exacerbation, outbreak, however you want to call it. My neurologist calls it a flare or a flare-up. So I've had about 3. I've done 2 rounds of IV steroids, and I've done probably 2 separate occasions of just the oral steroids, the prednisone. And of course, when you do the IV steroids, solumedrol, I think it's what it's called, you have to taper off with the prednisone, the oral steroids at the end. So I've done that. And this go round, my doctors did not, my ophthalmologist and neurologist did not feel like my case was serious enough to assume the risks that can come along with IV steroids. So I'm not on anything right now. I'm not on IV steroids or oral steroids. We are simply sitting back to see what will happen and just sort of track my progress. If things get worse, of course, then we'll try to do some sort of treatment. But you know, the more research that I do and the more my doctors explain to me, it is a situation of, you know, the steroids can sometimes help jumpstart and get us back on track faster. But if you look at studies, they clearly show that if you have 3 patients and one goes on IV steroids, one does the oral steroids, and one does nothing, by the 1-year mark, they will be the same. And so why assume the risk that associated with the IV steroids if it's something that you can tolerate? Now, if I was completely blind in an eye or both eyes, or, you know, when I'm in situations where I can't walk properly, my balance is off, things like that, when it is something that is impairing my ability to live a normal, healthy, everyday life, then yes, we do. I assume the risk and say put me on IV steroids. But at this point, I think that I can function without being on steroids. Optic neuritis is the inflammation of our optic nerve. So my white blood cells are probably nibbling around in that area of my brain where my optic nerve is, and you know, that part of my nerve is irritated now, and so I'm having the vision problem. As most of you know who have MS, heat sort of exacerbates our symptoms. So heat makes things worse, and there's something called Uthoff syndrome, which sometimes is just simply where the heat will make you have some sort of MS symptoms, and as soon as you cool down, in most cases, if it's just that, then your symptoms will go away. But sometimes we'll be in sort of heated situations and our body will start presenting MS symptoms that we have to sort of ride out because it's a true flare. So anyway, so I have both of those situations. I have true flares, and I have situations where I'm too hot and I need to, you know, if I get in the car and the car is warm, I might start getting some burning or tingling in my chest area, maybe my thighs, maybe my back, and then once I get cooled down, then it goes away. Sometimes I'm in a very heated situation and I'll start off that way, and it will go right into a full-fledged flare lasting a week or 2. So this is what's going on with me now. I have optic neuritis in my right eye. And over the last couple of days before I actually went to the ophthalmologist, I noticed that looking at my computer monitor, things were getting very, very blurry. Words were running together. It was hard for me to really make out the words on the screen. I thought it was both of my eyes, but of course after getting there and being examined, we realized that it was unilateral, so it was only one side, and it's my right side. So for me, if I close my left eye and I look just with my right eye, I really can't make out much. Now, I'm not blind in the eye. I do have vision in my eye, but it is very hard for me to pull words together. I can see large objects, but to words, street signs, words on like my computer monitors right behind, if I just use my right eye, it would be really hard for me to see that. So what's happening is, for me, this has been going on over the last couple of days. So my left eye is sort of overcompensating for both eyes, and now my eyes are really tired. And I'm starting with a little bit of the pain in the back of my eye and some headaches. So that's where I'm at. I also have loss of color perception in my right eye. So red is hard for me to make out. So I have a little story for you. I'm driving down the street today, and of course I see cars clearly. That's not an issue, and of course I wouldn't put myself in a dangerous situation. If I really could not see, I will stop driving. So I'm driving down the street, and there's this red truck in front of me, and I see that it's red, but I closed my left eye and I was looking just with my right eye, and it was gray. Did the same thing at a stoplight. It was red, closed my left eye and looked only with my right eye, and it was gray. So definitely with my research of the last couple of days, typically it is loss of color perception with the color red. So white cars and trucks, they look white. Green things still look a little green, but they don't look as bright as they do from my left eye only. So the doctor said optic neuritis typically will peak after maybe about a week. So it was expected, since I was in about day 3 when I went to the ophthalmologist, that things would probably start getting a little worse. And this morning, definitely, this is Thursday, went to the doctor on Tuesday. This morning when I woke up, things were very, very cloudy, and it was very hard for me to see and quite scary. But I did what I know to do, and that was to pray. And spent a little time in prayer, got myself together, and decided that I was going to press forward, and that's what I did. Again, I just wanted to stop by very briefly, do a quick video, give an update on what's going on with me currently, and just give a little insight on optic neuritis. So I will let you guys know in a couple of days how I'm doing. Thank you for viewing, and until I see you again, be well.